There you go. So this is right after they've had Joy and Minerva have had their talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Mindy would have been like around for the setting up of and let them talk privately.
Okay. Alrighty. So when it's all said and done, you can talk to Joy pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
How do you start your conversation with him?
Probably talk to him. He's set up in Minerva and where else? The med bay and
Medbay and Rye's office.
okay. They'll just talk to him in Minerva's room since that's where they're comfortable. Also, they don't want to be loud and interrupt Rye doing stuff.
You say as if Rye can be interrupted.
No, she can't be. But also just because Jordan's not here. He's with us in spirit on the, but he's driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Well, after the conversation, I assume. Well, it goes well. Um.
Yep. You think it went all right. They definitely they were speaking in some sort of coded language, as I think I described it before.
Yeah.
It was akin to speaking in multiple different languages at the same time, but then using the grammar of different languages at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, head cannot wrap around it. Even if you understood those, it would just sound like gibberish.
Oh yeah, no, they just sit there and do their thing. It becomes ambient AI noises.
Yeah, you do kind of get the impression that Minerva is annoyed throughout most of the conversation.
Oh.
But then again, Minerva normally sounds somewhat annoyed.
I guess so.
Kareem died.
Um. Yeah. Um. Afterward, I just wave at Joy.
Hello, Mindy.
Hi. Um. Looks between Minerva and Joy. God, you guys could talk again?
Yes, we are. It is nice to be able to be caught up on some things. For the most part, yes. It seemed like Minerva was most certainly needing someone to talk to. He says with a small smile in Minerva's general direction.
My
Not
people is
that,
always better.
yes. Minerva was telling me that you've been keeping them company a lot with a few others. I at least appreciate it. I can't speak on behalf of Minerva, but I do think it's good that interaction occurs.
Mm-hmm. We're acquaintances.
Yes, most people are in the acquaintances area with Minerva, even myself. And we've known each other much, much longer.
Well, how are you, Joy?
I am doing quite well. It's difficult getting used to this new system that you've set up. It's very much different than the one I'm used to, but nothing
Low
I
tech?
can't overcome. Not so much low tech, just different principles upon how it operates. Same idea, different way of going about it. Kind of like how a crossbow and a compound bow technically do the same thing. They just do it differently.
They not.
And then you give the monstrosity like the compound crossbow.
I'm gonna pretend that I know what you're talking about.
Ah,
Actually, no, wait. They would know. Because this is weapons related. And Hana's probably talked at length.
okay.
So they don't say that. They say, oh, okay, okay, okay. Well,
It's the best analogy I could come up with on the spot.
something's better than nothing.
Yes.
Uh, and this is faster than the black box.
Hmm. Speaking verbally is a much slower than if it was a direct connection.
Yeah. I'm kind of already, Mel's kind of already pissed at me, though.
Considering their opinions regarding things like myself, I
AIs,
can
VIs,
understand.
anything, Karen?
I can understand, yes.
Well, I know everyone else is overjoyed to have you on board.
It's my name, he says with a smile. Uh, I understand you all had a stressful experience not so long ago. Minerva did tell me about that you even had her engage in some combat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there's anything you do need to talk about regarding that, I'm sure you could work something out with your head doctor, Rai, and speak to me at length about it in a
Oh,
controlled environment, if it would help.
like, so wait, you do stuff like what Lauren does?
Lorne is your religious advisor, correct?
They make the most confused, scrunched up face. She's an arbiter. She doesn't really talk religion that much.
I
To me.
see. Well, then yes, something along those lines. I don't know how Lorne goes about it, but I focus more on healing the mind and realizing certain symptoms and creating treatments for said symptoms, and hopefully cures for the actual ailment.
It's such a shame that Harkin hates hates that. It's such a shame that Harkin's race.
I don't think I've met or heard about a Dr. Harkin yet.
He's our client. He made nap devices that help shield the mind from cognitive effects.
Ah, those certainly are useful for space travel.
Mm-hmm.
Human mind just wasn't designed for long stays in space.
Does it affect you guys at all?
He kind of looks towards Minerva and then looks back to you and says, in some ways, yes, in other ways, no. Minerva experiences something akin to what physical beings feel when they enter shock space. Minerva says, it is not the same. I understand it's not the same, but you still experience something. VIs like myself, however, do not experience it. Synthetic intelligences, the more advanced ones, they experience it the same way you would experience it. It's part of why synthetics are kept, well, during my age at least, were mostly kept to being ground side. Very rarely would the more advanced models travel. It was just deemed dangerous. But those that did travel, they were of a lesser intelligence. Very rarely would you ever see sapient and sentient traveling about.
You guys had like really high shock jump.
Well, we still had, yes, we shock jumps for us was still much safer than it is now, but it's still the prolonged exposure still to shock space and just the void in general caused problems for some of the more advanced synthetics. And they experienced mental trauma just as a normal human would. Robbie, for example, is a very low end model. He is, well, that's not exactly being fair to Robbie. He's a higher end model, but he doesn't have all of the cognitive functions of the advanced models, which have the capabilities of experiencing traumas. Why their creators designed them that way is still a mystery to me. But, well, humans like to create, I suppose.
I see. I see. This is interesting.
What?
Mindy has the face of I have an idea. uh, but they say so. I hope it hasn't been too bad traveling with us so far.
No, as I said before, myself and the other VIs, we don't experience the well, whatever
Mhm.
happens, we stay within the coded place. For example, if even the only unfortunate thing is that I am unable to project myself whenever you're traveling for shock spaces. It just disrupts too much of the equipment.
They turn towards Minerva.
Yes, Mindy.
Uh, how's shock been for you?
As I had said before, it has been adequate. I
They have.
feel whenever you enter and leave shock space. Other than that, there is not much else.
Mm. Yeah, I've heard some. Really? Well, that's good. You guys don't have to deal with the bullshit that we do when we do.
Yes, I
Nah.
have heard about some of the, as you put it, bullshit.
Nah.
As have I.
Nah.
I do strongly recommend not playing with the shock, especially with your engines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't have to tell me twice.
I've told others the yes, I've told others the same thing.
uh, well, at least our hull's better. But I probably not good enough to keep whatever's out there out there. Maybe. Ah.
It's not so much keeping something out as it is about maintaining a sense of completeness. The human mind wanders when it begins to encounter things that it's not able to correctly interpret. As such, it creates the optical illusions and terrors that can be experienced while within shock space. It's trying to bring reason to something that it cannot reason.
Out of character. Would a CRG. How would a CRG.
Uh, a CRG in shock space, it depends on what's happening.
Huh.
CRG mostly only blocks when it's like affecting when detects specific things. So in
Mhm.
shock space, it will only help when you're dealing with like say a apparition monster sort of a scenario.
I see,
But
I
it
see.
won't. But if you think it's able to hurt you, it can hurt you.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
E-
How are the other VIs doing?
He looks complicated for a moment before he says, most of them are doing well enough. There's a few outliers who I have been spending more time with than others. For example, where is where are they? Dark is having a hard time coping without having something to keep themselves occupied with.
It's Mindy's turn to look contemplative. What's Dark do again?
Dark was the one who was in charge of the shock reactor.
Oh,
They were specifically designed to control and maintain it. Similar to how the earlier models of our autonomous battleships, um, Minerva's elder siblings were created, whereas modern practices, most autonomous vessels had one AI and multiple VIs. In the past, it was a singular AI, and the AI would start with the reactor when everything else is built around it. So while the engineers are all engineering and building the ship, the AI actively assists them with building the ship, managing and maintaining the reactor because, well, it's a lot of calculations, math, and cooling that has to be done to keep it functional. It also allows them to mature better. In the case of Dark, a similar concept, except it was more along the lines of they were raised in simulations of how to control it, and then they were told to take care of it, essentially. And that's what they do. As such, they're a bit of a workaholic who has nothing to do.
would simulations help?
Not the kind that you could provide, unfortunately.
Mm.
You would need something that has much more processing power than the simulation you've created for Minerva.
That's a shame.
But their mental faculties are not deteriorating by any means. It's just boredom is
Boredom is
problematic.
awful.
Yes.
Well, I mean, if there's anything I can do to help stave it off, let me know.
I will consider it. Thank you for your offer.
I mean, come on, you're a doctor with a lot of patience, so
Well, I am quite good at multitasking. I had to manage a crew of over 2,000 individuals.
they make a face. Couldn't imagine having to talk to individuals regularly.
The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Never. But yeah, offers open.
Again, I thank you for it.
You should be able to just drop in and say hi to whenever with our setup.
Yes.
Well, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you again as well.
Mm-hmm. See ya. They make the most a slightly awkward exit.
As you fully leave, Joy disconnects.
Mm-hmm.
But he waits until you fully left.
Well, once they're at the door, they just by the way, Minerva, I might be able to get permission.
I see.
And then they scuttle.
All right, and there you go.
Joy is so nice that Mindy doesn't know. But
Someone died again. Jordan died.
It's just
Probably
Jordan. Don't
changing
worry
to
about
his
it.
computer. All right, Khan, you wanted something from me, or did you want something from me, Kareem?
You're good with me.
I'm attempting to see if I can set up this music bot easily or not. How much effort it's gonna take.
Ooh.
I see.
Ooh, rest in pieces.
Yeah, I don't know enough about making bots, so I can't help you there.
Hmm.
All I know is that I've given you the source code.
Yeah, I'm using that. If it's too much, I'm not gonna do it either. I don't like coding in my free time, so you're not gonna get much out of me. But
Yeah.
Fair enough.
if I can figure out how to do it in a way that's not gonna take me 10 million years,
Yeah.
then I'll do it.
I figured you just plug in the code and you just set it up with the commands and then you go. But I'm stupid.
No.
I don't know if copy pasting works.